There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University, a podcast for college-bound teens and the parents, mentors, and educators who support them. If that is you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, TEDx speaker, college admission strategist, and author of the book, Be Committed, Get Admitted. Welcome to Destination University. We help high school families successfully navigate the college admission process by helping students create an action plan, become interesting applicants, and write compelling essays that increase acceptance letters. As a former admission officer at Vassar College and an elite private school counselor in Los Angeles, I have coached, mentored, guided, and worked directly with over 10,000 students. I know what it takes to get admitted to top 100 colleges. As my gift to you, I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can get that at drcynthiacolon.com/admit. In the guide, I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review an entire application. I give you the order I read the application, what I was looking for, what I highlighted and took note of. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are made, well, today is your lucky day. Again, go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit. Okay, let's get to today's episode. This lesson is known as the pitfalls, okay? So what I don't want you to do is if you've written a test drive on one of these pitfalls, which chances are you have, not to worry or stress. We're just showing you what the pitfalls are and how we correct them or how they can be better, okay? So no need to freak out. That's why you're here. That's why you have us for 5 whole days, okay? So we're gonna go over some common topics. Coach Vanna is gonna just share some things of her vast experience, and then we'll share with you some ones that work. So she's gonna tell you why it doesn't work, and then I'm gonna show you an example of how it does work. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hang on. So
Yeah.
remember, decreasing your stress, increasing your success. That's your goal this week. And if you do this right, if you get this piece right, it helps to maximize your choices. Okay. The goal of your essay is to keep them engaged throughout the entirety of the essay and the entirety of the application. That's the goal. All right. So here are some common themes, and we're going to begin with sports.
Okay. You're choosing essay topics today. And I want you to know that no essay topic would we say, well, there are some tasteless ones, but in general, any essay topic is fine. Any essay topic is fine depending on how you reveal yourself through the topic. Any essay can be a star essay, can give me all kinds of wonderful information about you, or it can fall flat. So we want to avoid topics that have a tendency, there are a handful of topics here that have a tendency to fall flat. Why? Because they are very, very common topics in a high schooler's life, and college people have read thousands upon thousands of similar essays. The first one we're going to talk about is sports. Okay, the bases were loaded, and it was the bottom of the 9th, and I went up to bat, and no, how many times have we read that essay? There were 5 seconds left in the basketball game, and I went to the 3-point line, and they whisked me up in the air and carried me off. No, the winning, whether it's any sport at all, is actually not that interesting. Okay, we want to read about the struggle, the growth arc, Okay? And sports is oh so common. I already spoke this morning about being the bench warmer. That's a lot more interesting much of the time. Or maybe you were injured, sorry, but it might make for a better essay. Don't go out and get yourself injured, but it might make for a more interesting essay, right? How you're hobbling on the field. So the sports essay is okay if there's a little twist to it, if there's an unusual angle to it. Okay?
Let's give you
example.
3 examples. It's either going to be one of 3 types of essays. The love of the sport, right? The love of the sport. You were just a connoisseur of the sport. So here is an example of someone who collected Michael Jordan shoes. So when I asked him, what's your 4th topic going to be? I don't see one. And he said, oh, basketball. I'm going to probably write about how I coached the church basketball team. And I was like, didn't you tell me you had a Michael Jordan shoe collection? I'll still learn about your love of basketball, but through a different lens.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's another one. It can be a sports metaphor. Here's someone who loves sports. This is sort of, I have this one in mind for you, Sebastian. He loves sports and he aspires to be a sports announcer, right? So he's not going to be an athlete, but he's a journalist. And he weaves in this metaphor of the time crunch and getting this journalistic article out in time. Okay. So it can be a metaphor for something else other than sports. Finally, this is probably one of the ones that we help you write if you insist on writing about athletics. It's about the journey, really getting into the nitty-gritty of what you did, how you, I want to know, I'm thinking of the combine of football, like the ladder things you had to go and the speed and how did you get shave, a 1/10 of a second off of your time. One of my favorite essays is called The Big Shave, and he's a swimmer, and it's his going to CVS with his mom to get shavers, and then going to the bath in the bathtub and getting his mom to help him, and the bathtub full of hair. It is the greatest essay. So the journey in getting better.
And he shaved off some time.
And he shaved his body and he shaved his time. All right, people essays. Go ahead, Vanna.
Okay. All right. So some of you already listed with people, your friends, family, teachers, whatever. And you're going to describe, most of them will be descriptions of the person. And maybe it'll be a lesson that they gave you. Hopefully there's a lesson. But more often than not, it's anecdotal information about what this person does, says, their life. And so we learn more. We're not going to admit Grandpa. Grandpa's not applying. So he might have been wonderful and might have been full of pearls of wisdom, but we're admitting you. So we briefly want to know about Grandpa, but we want to know what he said to you that changed your worldview, that knocked you out of whatever you were thinking and made you have a new purpose, a different idea about whatever the subject is. So it's just briefly about the person.
Very good. Here we go. Here's some examples. All right. This is one of my favorite essays.
Grandma.
Yes. Every month, like clockwork, I watched my grandmother walk around the house with a nylon cape draped around her shoulders and a plastic shower cap encasing her scalp like a helmet. I giggled at the sight. She resembled a superhero with powers to regenerate the color of her hair. And she goes on, by middle school, she entrusted me, the family artist, to assist in her monthly escapades. Dyeing hair for me might have been an act of rebellion, a desperate attempt to gain attention of my parents. For my elderly Chinese grandmother, it was an act of preservation. And the rest of the goes on and shows us how she begins to dye the grandmother's hair and becomes the artist to this.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Next.
Oh, hang on one quick
we
second.
got
Here's the pizza essay.
Oh yeah.
This one is really, okay, so just to, no, wrong knob.
No.
That one is not for toasting, not cooking. For toasting, not cooking. I said and pointed to the little logo of the pizza, which indicated the cooking time. Here's the key sentence. We were only 12 and 17, just kids, yet we understood the topic of death after our mom had passed away a year prior. At the same time, my brother was learning how to shave, what equation was what equation was what in algebra, and how to cook. This essay, you know, the mom has passed in that one sentence. It's not about the mom, or it's not about the passing of the mom. It's about now her becoming the second parent in her home and teaching her brother how to cook pizza.
So those are the big topics. This category is the big topics, the important, but common
Important
topics.
people.
Right.
Yes, important people.
Okay.
Okay, life challenges.
Okay, life challenges. Okay, so that could be in both categories. That could be people, but it could also be life challenges. One of your parents passes away. Other life challenges could be depression, anxiety, cutting, eating disorders, sexual assault, death. Somebody close to you has died. Some of you might have experienced those things. Okay, very upsetting, huge for a 17-year-old to experience any of these life challenges. But writing about them, your response to your parents' divorce or to someone's death or to eating disorders is probably very similar to everyone else's experience. There's usually a universal response to the death of a young person or to a divorce of family. It's a universal response, so it's not going to stand out, okay? So how do you write about something like that? The only reason you would ever write about depression and anxiety, the reason I'm telling you this is after COVID, even before COVID, I read applications for UC Santa Barbara, and I'm going to be telling you about that later on. There's so many students who are inclined to reveal so much about themselves, whether it's an eating disorder or cutting or depression, whatever it might be. And that's fine. But if I'm going to tell you why it might be fine, it could raise a red flag. College is hard. We're concerned about you. If you explain your situation, but I think perhaps you're still dealing with the situation, that's concerning.
Yeah.
You can write about this important topic, eating disorder, cutting, sexual assault, whatever it might be. If you are on the other side of it, you had an eating disorder, you went, you're getting over it in your rehab. Not only that, in your school, you now have a student support group that meets once a week and you talk to each other.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you're on the other end of it, then it's no longer a red flag. It's a gold star. It's a gold star. I want this student who has gone through this difficulty on my campus. This student's going to be a beacon for other students to help them perhaps get over a situation.
Let's give you some examples. We often also just talk about these life challenges as the 5 Ds to avoid.
Yeah.
Death, divorce, devastation, an actual D, getting the D, and or disability. Okay. There are ways to do it. Here's one example.
There's ways to do it.
Very candidly about his cancer. So her father has cancer. I asked the questions I had always wanted to, each time feeling like I should grab the words from the air and shove them back into my mouth, fearing that I had asked too much. It goes on. It's about dinner. It's about dinner with dad who has cancer, and she's asking questions she's always wanted to ask. Becomes less about really him and more about her wanting to understand or have a connection with her dad. Okay, another one, as a single mom, she's the only source of income in the family. And as a 15-year-old, I don't know how to work or even get one. I start by helping around the house. I wash and fold the laundry, putting her clean clothes, and it goes on. So this is a window into her life. This is context. This is definitely a Who Am I essay, but also lots of things happening here clearly in her life that she's having to overcome. Okay, community service.
Huh, okay, as it says here, not gonna lie, this is hard to do well without sounding like everyone else. So you went to Mexico and you build houses. You went to the homeless shelter every week and you distribute food. You work in the orphanage over the summer. Okay. How many of those essays have we read the first sentence and then said, I know exactly what this is gonna be, I don't need to read the rest of the essay? Okay. So the only way to do a strong community service essay is you do the community service, and in the middle is when you have the revelation, wow, I have a new worldview, I have a new sense of my life and appreciation and gratitude for my life. And I understand that there are, people that aren't as well off as I am. A lot of times students will end with that revelation. Well, prove it. The second half of your essay has to do, what did you do about it? What did you do about it? Did you go back to your school and organize something, a fundraiser or something for the orphanage? Did you organize a curriculum to teach the young people something? Did you do, for the houses in Mexico, did you organize a larger one within your church community or your school community? What did you do that proves to the reader that you've had an epiphany, you've had a revelation based on your community service experience? You don't just get to say, and it changed my life, and now I'm a different person.
Yeah.
You got to prove it.
I'm going to show you some. I think I have one or two, but to be honest, I'm not even sure these are the best ones. It's just really not, we try to get you to avoid it if possible.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel it's my responsibility to give these animals everything I can because they have little or nothing, right? So it's the same thing. The thought of that someday soon I may come back to the news that any of them have been adopted makes my heart smile. So this is her community service, and she is doing the action every time. She is taking action to help, but again, it's very hard to do without sounding trite. I'm not sure what the word is, but like
Trite.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's so common.
yeah. Here's another one, researching and third graders, blah, blah, blah. They watch it in horror. Okay. They watch in horror with disgust as I crumpled up the paper bag, destroying the chips and letting the grease seep through this thin paper. Who can tell me what this shows? And it's about food deserts. So she had done research about food deserts, and she wanted to really educate third graders on what that means and why they, should eat, anyway, you see? So this one is a little bit better, honestly, but there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, let's do this one, make this one the last one.
Travel. How do you make this less about where you went and more about who you became or what you learned? Okay, so my trip to France, my trip to Israel, oh, Lord knows how many of those have you read? I went to France and I learned about a new culture. I spoke a new language. I ate some different food. So general. I want you to take me to a memory when you got lost in the metro, a memory when you sat down with the family, your foster family or whatever it's called when you study abroad, you sit down with the family and you're faced with eating something you've never eaten before. How am I going to go about it? What do I do? How resourceful am I? So you take me to a moment where it's just a story that only you can tell. Okay, it's less about the travel and more about I'm inside of your head, and I want to find out attributes that are going to push you through this unusual situation. So it's not a general essay about seeing the Eiffel Tower or going to the Louvre.
Okay. This is one for the ages. This is an old
I
one.
love this one.
Okay. The woman asked what I did and did not like to eat. A little ashamed, I answered that I dislike seafood. She responded, okay, good. We will make you fish then. Okay. So she goes on. As we drove the gravel driveway, my heart pounded. What if they thought I was just another rude American? She goes on. That night I was offered a treat in the yard. A bucket of live fish laid next to the fire pit. As the honored guest, I was to be the first to spear a fish with a wooden stick, roast it like a marshmallow, and eat it off the stick. I glanced around at my host family and saw them beaming back at me. So I swallowed hard, picked up one of the wooden spears, stabbed a fish, and defiantly stuck it in the fire. This is one of my favorite essays.
And isn't he endearing? Don't we love him?
Yeah.
He's so awkward and uncomfortable, but he rises to the occasion. Remember, the goal of the essay is personality. He's funny. He's fearful, he's vulnerable,
Yeah.
And he's resourceful.
And he's a she, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Not that matters. Okay, one last one, and then what you're gonna write. So, okay, here's another one. I check my hair as the elevator doors close in front of me. Backpack, check. Notebook, check. Big blue button with Chinese characters inviting people to talk to me in Chinese, check. My flat top fade and light chocolate skin are a dead giveaway that I'm a foreigner. Go on, go on. There were plenty to choose from, but there was an invisible bungee cord pulling me back each time I tried opening my mouth. Even though I was only using basic words and phrases, which I mostly knew, I could barely bring myself to talk. Anyway, this is lovely. This is a kid not too far long ago, talking about being in China, also having this like Afro flat top that everyone always wanted to touch. I mean, it's just beautiful, really amazing. Okay, I think we're gonna call it there. And there's another one, competitions, but we'll refer you to your packet. Here's the truth. For nearly 30 years, I have worked at elite private colleges and/or private high schools. I know what well-resourced families do to ensure college success, and I can tell you, if your child is enrolled at a public or religious high school, chances are she or he is already 5 steps behind. However, today is your lucky day. To get you ahead of your private school peers, I have a gift for you. I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide. 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit to get your copy. I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review the entire application. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are actually made, you're not alone. Take action now to get 5 steps ahead and begin increasing those acceptance letters. Again, that's Dr. Cynthia Colon, drcynthiacolon.com/admit. That is all I have for you today, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Colon. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. You can subscribe to Destination University wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, leave us a review. It sure does help a lot. By subscribing and reviewing, you help to grow the community of informed families across the nation. And if you haven't binge listened to our previous seasons, do it. With each episode, you'll learn a new tip, trick, or strategy for success. Start with episode 1, the one word every parent should remove. You'll learn my mom's secret to ensuring college success for her daughters. And once again, if you found value today, please share this episode with 3 families in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.